Are you worried that President Trump and Elon Musk's federal layoffs are going to crash the real estate market? Well, if you're wondering that, you're not alone. Just in this last week, I've had two separate people, different parts of the country, one of them is in Washington, D.C., reach out to me really validly concerned that what's happening in their market is in complete chaos. And we're going to unpack a couple of articles here today. If you know me, my name's Alex Saldana. I've been a local Denver agent here since 2010. And I like to try not to live up to the hype of everything that we see in the mass media and really try to shed some light on what the real numbers are doing. Because if there's anything we know that the media is good at, it's getting us to worry. The more we worry, the more we watch. So here's the first article that was shared with me earlier this week. The title reads, "This is absolutely insane." All right, you got my attention. Since DOGE began discussing mass layoffs, the median home price in Washington, D.C. has fallen nearly $139,000. From a first glance, you go, oh my gosh, like that's got to be 10, 20, 30% in most markets, right? In 30 days, nearly 4,000 homes have been listed for sale in and around Washington, D.C. Oh my God. What is happening? Let us explain. All right. So then they go on to have this post that says, what is the housing market like in Washington, D.C. in 2025? Washington, D.C. home prices were down 8.6% compared to last year, selling for a median price of $560,000. So, okay. So if they're down 140,000, whatever that number was, and now they're down to 560,000, well, that would be what? Well over 20%, 25% drop year over year, but yet they're saying that they're down 8.6% year over year. Okay. On average, homes in Washington, D.C. sell after 88 days on the market compared to 80 days last year, up 8 days. Great. Nothing notable there. There were 453 homes sold in January this year, up from 378 last year. These numbers seem really, really small. Let's go and fact check this Kobisi letter. How many followers has he got? 740,000 followers. Okay, so they've got a fair following. So let's go look at Washington, D.C. And what we're looking at here is these lines are the last 4 years of trends, right? We've got 22, 23, 24, and 25 is in green, right? We're right here. So new listings up 9.9% year over year, okay, to 1,065 compared to last year where we had 969, right? So we're up 100-ish listings. It sounds like a big percentage, but really in the scheme of things, it's not very high in comparison, right? We're very much on trend with 23 and 24, less than 2022, which is at 1,200 this time of year. Now, this is for a weekly snapshot. So for a month, multiply that by 4 by about 4,000. So this is where I don't know where they're getting their exact numbers from. Okay, so 1,200 in a week. This is each data point is a week of values on the Redfin data center. Okay, let's go on. Pending sales. Pending sales are down 11% year over year. The 981 went under contract this week, which that's about 4,000 per month, right, during this time of year compared to last year, which was at 1,100. So, yeah, they're down 11%. Great. Compared to 2022, down from 1,400 the same week down to 1,000, like it's significantly less, but that's the same thing all throughout the country, right? Homes sold up 4.8% year over year. Okay. Kobisi, what are you saying here? Your number of homes sold. Oh, you're actually admitting that there's been more homes sold than the previous year, but yet the market's in chaos. Okay. New listing median price. Let's go to sale price, right? Oh, you're up 2% year over year. So what are we looking at? This is what I don't understand. Like, even when I average it out to a 12-week average, like you're still up 3% year over year. So this is the stuff you have to watch out for, ladies and gentlemen, is the media is being weaponized everywhere, right? I don't like to get political. I don't care. I don't think they have our best interest at heart 99% of the time. And the media is paid to get your attention. And this got my attention enough so that I stopped what I was doing and looked up the numbers to reassure my cousin who lives in Washington, D.C., that is scared, that says, hey, we're out on the streets in February talking to our neighbors about the housing market. We're scared here. We don't know what's going on. Well, let's look at the numbers. Let's see what's actually going on here. And to go back into kind of what's happening, you know, we could look at median days on market, right? And we can say, okay, great, you're up 3 days year over year, but you're still not as high as 2023 was. Age of inventory, you're on par for last year. Month supply of inventory, you're on par for the last 2 years. Nothing is out of the ordinary here, right? January and February tend to be our two lowest closed price months through the year. And you can see this trend year over year. And so they're going to go up. I'm going to guess they're going to be somewhere in the 580s over the next 3 to 4 months as their median sales price. So they're going to be going up 5, 6, 7% over the next few months. And then they're going to slump down for the rest of the year, as that's what happens every single year in just about every single market in the country. So if you ever want to fact check what you're looking at, come into Redfin's data center or just reach out to me. I mean, I have access to a lot more information than most of you guys do, and I will dig into it because every market is a little bit different, right? There are micro markets in every market. I can show you neighborhoods in Denver that are down 20 to 30% over the last 2 years, right? And it's mostly newer homes that were built from 2020 to 2022, 23, okay? Because they're competing with new builds that are a mile away that are offering crazy incentives to get people into 3% interest rates, right? So those homes are having a hard time selling. I can show you neighborhoods in Denver that are up 20% year over year because no one is selling in those neighborhoods. So it's driving the prices up. Every market has tons of little micro markets in it. Now, let's go take a look at one of the other articles that I was sent. And this one is from Fortune. So, I mean, they're okay. Housing market with a lot of federal workers have been thrown into disarray in Trump's RTO order and layoff fears. Okay. So I'm going to just unpack some of the important parts here. Basically saying Trump's administration return to office mandates are making people search for closer commutes, and they're struggling with job insecurity. So disarray, right? Housing markets in disarray. I just want to keep emphasizing what they're saying. Since the inauguration, I've met with a few people, including one federal government employee, who are selling specifically because of anticipated return to office orders, said Kansas City, Missouri-based Redfin agent Joe Chavez. Okay, so I've talked with one person who is worried about their job. Okay, spoke to a client who plans to upgrade to a larger home, but he canceled those plans because he's worried about losing his job to restructuring of government jobs. Okay, so two people. And another agent here said a couple he worked with to buy their dream home a few years ago are now thinking about putting their home up for sale as they seek to be closer to public transportation. Okay, that just happens all the time. They both work for the government and want more convenience, commutes. Great. Okay, here we go. We got a good word. The chaos caused by the RTO mandates, which it has, and the federal layoffs adds to the strain of the U.S. housing market, which has already been frozen by high mortgage rates. It is a stalemate in a lot of scenarios, but the numbers kind of speak for themselves. We're still up year over year. Houses are still selling at the right price. High borrowing costs and home prices have kept demand from would-be buyers low. And while more sellers are putting their homes on the market, buyers are still on the sidelines. Yeah, sort of, but not really. I got several buyers right now that would buy with the right house. For the 4 weeks that ended February 9th, new listings were up 7.4% from last year, the highest level since 2022. Since 3 years ago now, the highest level for the last 3 years. That is by no means a benchmark for anything, while pending sales were down 6%. Okay, so let's go look at the entire country, which is what they're referring to. All right, new listings are up 7.4% year over year. Great. They're still down from 2022. Okay. Pending sales are down 6% year over year, right? From 74,000 last year down to 70,000. So 4,000 less homes are under contract. Okay. That's great. Median sales price still up 4% year over year. Active listings are up 11% year over year. So that's significant. Price drops, we're seeing them. It's January. We get blips on the radar all the time. Month supply of inventory is up year over year as well. So sure, there's some more inventory there, but things are still holding strong. Again, nothing in this article references like things are disarray. And then we've got a good one here. DC housing market in chaos as federal employees panic. I have no doubt there are lots of people panicking. I've got several friends that are contractors or work for the government. And yeah, there's a lot of disarray that's happening inside of that stuff. But these articles are directly in response to real estate and what's happening out there. So this says the Trump administration, their mass layoffs of federal workers is upending the Washington, D.C. housing market. Here we go back to D.C. According to a new Redfin report that shows uncertainty is growing in the city among buyers and home sellers. So it goes from in chaos to there's uncertainty growing. Those are two very different things. If my house was in chaos, I could paint you a picture of what that looks like. There's crap everywhere. There's dogs running around, jumping out on the couch, chewing on stuff. My wife and daughter fighting with each other. The mailman coming to the door at the same time. Like, you have a picture of what chaos is. If I said my house felt uncertain, I would know what that feels like, and it does not feel like chaos. But hey, use words to get people to click. Why it matters doesn't, we know why it matters. More people getting laid off means more people will sell. Yes, that can affect pricing. What to know? Redfin agents in Washington, D.C., where there's a high concentration of federal workers, have found that the city's housing market is in a state of uncertainty. Okay. A lot of return to work orders, things like that. Now, this is where we have anything about a report. According to a recent report by John Burns Research and Consulting, which produces independent research on the U.S. housing market, Trump's and Musk's effort to reduce the federal workforce might create new challenges for the already struggling U.S. housing market, especially in D.C., where federal employees compromises approximately 375,000 jobs in the workforce. Other states, including California, Texas, Florida, which are also home to large federal workforces, may also experience market strength. All right. We went from DZ housing market in chaos to we may be straining. Like, you can't make this stuff up, ladies and gentlemen. These articles are clickbait garbage. I'm going to call it for what it is. You are being played by the mass media and what is happening there. Now, I will be the first to say that, yes, I've thought since COVID, we were going to crash in the market, right? But that was before I knew what I know now. And that is how the market gets controlled by things like interest rates. And the market is doing what the market is supposed to be doing. Since 2008, lending guidelines have strengthened like crazy. Our borrowing in the entire U.S. based on how much real estate value there is like half of what it was in 2008. And when I say half, that number is huge. It's like we're leveraged like 25% right now versus what it was then, which was 50%. Things started to fall off a cliff and crash, and it just snowballed and got worse and worse and worse. Like 25% is like as low as we've ever been since before, like we went off the gold standard right back in the 70s or whatever that was. And so the strength that we're seeing is because interest rates are high and it's freezing sellers into position. I talk to sellers all the time who have a dollar amount that they will not go under. Like, they're just going to take it off the market because they don't actually have to sell. They want to sell. They'd like to sell. They'd like to get their ultimate price. But at the end of the day, they're not going to do it if they have to take a perceived loss from what they could have gotten a couple of years ago, right? Everybody's got that number in their head. The market was going crazy, 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 boom, boom, boom. Everything's getting 50 to 100 grand over. And then that party ends and everything dropped 5 to 10% within weeks. I can show you that graph. And then we've just kind of been chilling there, and up a little bit, and down a little bit, and then up a little bit more. And then now we're back into what's kind of normalizing. Here's what to look out for going forward. I will keep you posted. I watch the foreclosure stats is my number one indicator of what the market is doing. Foreclosures are still at all-time lows. Nothing to speak of there whatsoever. That is the leading indicator of what's to come in the next 6 to 12 months. Foreclosures take a lot longer than you think. That's my leading indicator. Then we'll watch inventory levels. Of course, as they rise, that can have an effect on pricing. But here's what I see from the overall picture is that if you have a house that's on a busy street, next to commercial space, next to a cemetery, there's next to a railroad tracks, those houses are struggling. They're staying on the market for a long time unless you do massive price adjustments. Okay. They're just not as ideal. Buyers are not willing to pay a premium for a sub-premium house, right? Don't mean to call your house sub-premium, but if you're on a busy street, there's an adjustment in price for those houses. The houses that are in good condition, homeowner upgrades, that are priced decently. We're not talking trying to get, 50 grand above the last one to sell. We're talking like listed at the same price as the last one to sell. That was also in really good condition. You are going under contract in the first weekend, right? So the buyers who are out there are being picky, but the good stuff that's coming on is still going under contract rapidly. And if you are wondering what your home is doing, go ahead and check out this home equity report. It's a lot more than just a home evaluation. It tracks from when you purchased it and your loan and calculates your home equity, which at the end of the day, your equity is what you actually have, not just your home value, which of course it has that as well. There's a lot of cool tools on there if you were to say want to do a refi or buy a rental property. And so there's just a lot of cool tools in there. And if you find yourself in the Denver market happening to be looking at a fixer-upper property, because let's be real, like budgeting is a big issue right now with interest rates, go ahead, check out this video. It goes through what you need to know about buying a property that needs work in this day and age.